Check, check, check. Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me yet? Are we live yet? I don't think we're live yet. Not quite. Hello, hello. Magical night, isn't it? How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the show. My name's Keith, your host, man. Letters. Knowledge, information, you know how it goes. Oh, man, it's, oh, Jade released something. Nice. We'll have to put a note in that. Yo, so first of all, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I hope you've got your tea. I do. This is we have fresh picked white sage from the garden. That's how we're rolling so far. And it's a little too hot to drink, but it's gonna keep the spirits warm while we kick this magic reading up, huh? We'll be doing some chatting, we'll be doing some talking, we'll be doing some reading from the Colburn Bible. I needed to get cracking on this next audiobook. Figured it was a magical night and perfect time for it, but I didn't want to do it alone, so I'm here on a live with you guys, and we will be reading it together. There's 3 of us in here. Hello, what's up? It's like our own little midnight society right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midnight Society. Enjoy your stay. All right. I'll get cracking on the project, and as people come, just say hello. And let's go back and forth. Bum 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 bum. Da-da-da. Ladies and gents, boys and girls. All right. Chapter 2, the Hibsathy. Or is it the Hibsathi? This is going to be an interesting edit when I'm doing this chapter back over. I've never done one of these proper on a live. Oh, I guess I have on a live. No, we'll be all right. Anywho. Everyone, come on in. My name's Keith. We're going to be reading the Colburn Bible and drinking tea and hanging out. If you guys have anything to say or anything to share, leave it in the comments and we'll talk about it. This isn't going to be just me reading from the Colburn Bible. It's going to be also the Colburn Bible is a text that's split between ancient Egypt and ancient Ireland, the ancient Druids and whatnot, on some fascinating stories, some including but not limited to the Sorcerer's Stone. We have the Great Flood myths, we have the Younger Dryas, if you're familiar with that, and global catastrophes. It's actually really a really wonderful book, and I've been enjoying it so far. It's nice to have a text that combines a whole bunch of different things from other areas that we learned, and one of my favorite parts in this book in particular is the global catastrophe and the global floods and the global destruction that we find coming to light a lot with Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson are starting to become mainstream, you know. So it's nice to see these old texts where it's oh man, here's some more really interesting description of global catastrophes shared from another source, from ancients. And it's nice to we're like a detective and we read all these different consolidations of myth and story, and we go, whoa, that one corroborates with that one, and that one corroborates with that one, and then your detective mind starts going off, and you're thinking, oh man, maybe so this could be North Egypt, but ancient Chem. We're talking about Chem. We even talked about the Children of Light in the last chapter, so you guys are gonna like this. You like Emerald Tablets and that line of thought. In the last chapter of the Colburn Bible, the people describe themselves as the children of light living in caves in ancient Chem. Like, it doesn't get more corroborative with the Emerald Tablets than that. It's super cool. So stoked that you guys are here. Nice, we got 10 people. What's up? Hello, Moon Baby Blue 44. Please feel free to say something in the comment section if something tickles your fancy, because we can talk about it too. We'll be doing some commentary and dialogue and stuff like that. The lo-fi you're hearing in the background is not going to be on the final recording. That's only coming through our ears and not in the recording. I thought we'd try something new. Anywho. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Chapter 2, The Hibsithy. These things must not be entrusted to common folk, neither must they be degraded by disclosing them to such as would profane them. They were once reserved for those who were exalted in wisdom and virtue. In those days of Haremta, mouth of God on earth, they were hidden from those in high places. This is one among the lesser mysteries, the ritual of the twice born. It is a ceremony to regain spiritual vigor and to restore spiritual power, whereby a chosen one dies and rises again. Sounds like Christ. It is a grim undertaking fraught with danger. It is not for the spiritually weak or for the faint-hearted. Not all survive to walk again upon the friendly ground of earth. Only the elder men who had completed the 3 cycles of 7 years were accepted. They had to be men with wisdom and virtue. They had to be men with wisdom and courage, with the strength and fortitude to survive. Other essentials were absolute purity and complete self-discipline. The ability for self-sacrifice and a strict sense of duty were demanded. Only men possessing all these qualities could cross the border in consciousness and return. To be deficient in any essential quality meant death. The tree of life has many branches, and that which is initiation bears the best fruit. It is about this that your brother writes. It began far away. It began in that far-away glorious period before the days of wickedness which caused men to walk in darkness. Pause. Normally the dogs don't bark this late. It began in that far-away glorious period before the days of wickedness which caused men to walk in darkness. In the days when they walked in the truth, in the light. Woo! You know the best part about having your own white sage plants in the backyard is you get to make some fire tea. Fresh off the plant. All the time, it's the greatest thing. Oh, you like the beard? Nice. I'm recording a music video called Pirate Man pretty soon, or behind the scenes music video for a song I'm recording called Pirate Man. Or maybe I am the Pirate Man, I haven't decided yet. And I've been growing out the beard for that video, and the video keeps getting pushed out, so I'm just been growing this ridiculous beard, this pretty cool beard forever. Anywho, good evening, Jacob of Ephraim. Just a video on the Corbin and use a small snippet of, the chat went well and it touched my subs. Would have loved to interview. I would love to, Jacob. Hit me up, brother. Super down. Shoot me an email. My email is keithgarcia808@gmail.com. Also nice to see ya, Lady Dream Party. All right. Where did we leave off? The dog was barking. It began in that far away glorious period. Motherfucker. It doesn't bark this way. It's like he's waiting for me. It might not sound very loud to you guys, but I have my fancy headphones on here, and if the headphones pick it up, the software is picking it up. So I guess we'll just have some more tea and talk about beards. Moon Baby, no, it's not over. I gotta. So what you guys are in on right now is me recording one of my audiobooks. So I have to pause for the dog barking in the backyard. He should stop in a second because I can't have a dog barking in my final production of book 4, the book of the Thrones of Fire, whatever it's called, of the Colburn Bible. What's up, MCQ? What's up, man? balls. I lost my spot. Days of one places and chance for girl TV efficient. Ah, balls. I had my little highlighted spot, and now it's absolute purity. I'll be a soul sacrifice to man. Only man possessing these qualities to be deficient tree of life. It is about this. It began in that far away glorious period, before the days of wickedness which caused men to walk in darkness, in the days when they walked in the truth of light. A house of hidden places was maintained, so that all who had any part in governing the lives of the people, whether as king or priest or official, could prove themselves worthy before becoming encumbered with the office. Later it came about that the hidden places had to be further secured, and only men long established in goodness could enter them. Those in high places and those with power shirked the austerities and dangers demanded, and thereby they cut themselves off from the truth of light. The kings and governors who ruled in Egypt during all the many long generations of twilight and darkness were born to the frailties of the flesh. Seeing only through earthly eyes, they lacked the clear guidance of revelation and knowledge. The seraph egg remains. It will give up its secrets on the distant day when hatched under the breast of understanding. Then it will open its eyes, unfold, and spread its wings to reveal the light of truth. The spirit of man is like an unweaned child which has wandered away and become lost among the rocks and cave, unless it is found. The other day I made some edibles and threw them over the fence, and it worked like a charm. The dogs were quiet for like 8 hours. I would have done it this evening, but they normally don't bark at night. Hello, ambiguous. Yeah, we're reading. We're just getting caught up with the stupid dogs next door. Usually at this point is where I go back and edit what I've already read, but I don't think you guys want to hear that part. Are any of you familiar with the Copen Bible, by the way?
Let's go. Chapter 2. These things.
This is our 4th installment of the book, actually.
Let's go.
Oh, that's so sad. I was really looking forward to having this recording session be nice and chill with my tea all tasty and vibey, and I was certain the dogs would be quiet at this point.
Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The hit. These things. Stood to come. Neither must they be degraded by disclosing them to such as would profane them. They were once reserved for those who were exalted in.
Can you guys hear the playback, by the way? Is it coming through your speakers?
Days of Aram, to mouth of God on earth, they were hidden from those in high places. This is one among the lesser mysteries, the ritual of the twice born. It is a ceremony to regain spiritual vigor and to restore spiritual power, whereby a chosen one dies and rises again.
Alright, it seems this is what we call efficiency. No moment wasted. Welcome to the dungeon, you guys. Welcome to the dungeon. It's nice. Okay, we'll start back up. Thank you for your patience. The spirit of man is like an unweaned child which has wandered away and become lost among the rocks in the cave. And unless it is found and given sustenance from the source of its life, it will perish. The first temple of the Shrine of the Hidden Places was built on the scarred heights. It was a temple within an inner court where there were lesser temples and rooms of priests and teachers. The whole was surrounded by a courtyard and gardens, and beneath the main temple were the 3 caverns of initiation. Later, the temple of the Shrine of the Hidden Places was built during a time when the light was revealed throughout the land. Though previously the shrines of the Twice-Born had been concealed in the smaller temples, when Ramses built the great temple of Ramen, There's a great temple of ramen? Yeah. I have been worshiping the wrong gods this whole goddamn time. There is a great temple of ramen. Wow. Though previously the shrines of the Twice-Born had been concealed in the smaller temples, when Ramses built the great temple of Ramen, it contained within itself both temple and shrine of the all-highest god. Also there were caverns of initiation underneath, and the hall of the temple which faced east and west. Between pillars of pure stone was the portal of the outer sanctuary. And as the sun rises in the east to give life to the day, so was the devoted priest placed in the east of the sanctuary, to open the services of worship and to instruct like a father. Bastard, yeah. You know what's also interesting? They keep mentioning the Twice-Born, which sounds like the Thrice-Born, Hermes Trismegistus, but this book was written quite some time ago, so I'm curious if we're talking about the same person, only the Twice-Born, because he hasn't had the third time yet, because it's not this far along, and am I making sense? Very interesting. As the sun rises in the east to give life to the day, so was the devoted priest placed in the east of the sanctuary, to open the services of worship and to instruct, like a father, those who came to him with understanding. And the ceiling above the candidates was the symbol of the sun, and from it extended 7 hands. This represented the sun of life dispensing the vitalizing forces of life from their fount within the circle of creative consciousness. Behind the priest were representations of the 10 rays of power that flowed out from the all-highest God when he created earth, and which became the attributes of his spirit. They are love, foresight, wisdom, insight, all knowledge, strength, resolution, justice, mercy, courage. Between the devoted priest and the wall behind him was the triangular representation of the 3 sublime essences: Supreme Spirit, Soul Spirit, and Forming Spirit. The 3 parts of spirit ever in unity. The entrance to the sanctuary was in the east, and above this was a representation of the great I, the secrets of which cannot be written. Before the devoted priests was a hidden doorway, and this led down to the marriage chamber. In this chamber were performed the rites known as the marriage of the soul. Here, too, spiritual nourishment could be inhaled through fragrant smoke of incense prepared from secret essences and ingredients which activate life. Here was learned the profound secret of the soul, the secret that was in the silence. Behind the sacred place in the temple, behind the place of flame, was the thrice hidden door, and this led down to the chambers of darkness, which were before the caverns of initiation. Before the first chamber of darkness, there was an antechamber containing a small lamp and light. Cut on the walls were representations of life and spirit. The candidate had studied with the priests of the upper temple for 7 years, and the candidate had studied with the priests of the upper temple for 7 years and been observed by one of the Twice-Born for 7 years. Now here in the antechamber he became an anointed one. Anointed, the secret oils, the Ankh. Thoth speaks of the chamber lying in the stone sarcophagus in total darkness for the initiated ones. So I'm talking about this text could be like corresponding elements towards some of our favorites. Some of our favorites. Shin Black is the best ramen noodles. Alright. The Anointed One went into the first chamber of darkness for testing by one of the twice born of a lesser order. Here it was discovered whether he truly desired the great illumination and whether he had all earthly desires and ambitions under control. Here he was warned of the dangers he would have to face and was tested for courage and fortitude. Before him now there was only one choice: victory or death. This was the chamber of the red light. Now the candidate and he who attended upon him stood before the next door, and the priest said to one who stood there, having realized by his own preparation that the external is unreal, and having eliminated earthly desires and substituted spiritual ones, he who aspires stands ready. He who has tamed the wild steed of his body so that it is completely under his command. He has awakened the man within the man, and the eyes of inner vision are open. He has made the irrevocable decision and is one ready to go forward. The Anointed One was admitted into the second chamber of darkness, and here he was uncovered and placed within a bath of cold water, where he remained for a period determined by the burning of a lamp. This was the chamber of the purple light. From here the Anointed One passed into a small chamber which was the entrance to the caverns of initiation. He now stood before the portal of Restua and recited the prayer before the portal. O unnamable God, give me a burden of suffering to bear and place about my shoulders the yoke of tribulation. O God, fill the empty spaces of my spirit with pain. Grant me such fortitude that even under an almost unendurable load of distress, I may be willing to lighten the burden and suffering of another. Even as I stand preparing for the awaiting test, I ask that should I be... Come on, dog. This is a good part. This is a good part, man. We'll have some tea. Yeah, sorry if the stop and go is kind of a tease, yo. What happens? Original Mason vibes sounds so similar to the Masonic rites murmured about, but less evil. Well, it is said that all the darkness is just a perversion of light. An absence of the negative tends to be more or less an absence of, not, you know what I mean? Like they mentioned the symbol of the eye, and a lot of people now associate the eye with the Illuminati and Big Brother, and they're always watching you and bad. This text, though not, does not portray it as being bad. It does talk about the symbol of the eye being part of the initiation process, but the secrets of which are unable to be written about. Yeah, the dog doesn't sound nearly as bad as it used to, I know, which makes it fine for less serious audiobooks, so it works a little bit. But for these, like this one's gonna end up being one of my super official ones. Yeah, this does cut out the neighbors talking, so you guys can't hear the neighbors cooking food anymore, which is a huge help. The washing machine from the neighbor's house doesn't pick that up either. It's actually running right now and you can't hear it. What up? But the dogs cut through. Alright, he seems to have stopped. Even as I stand prepared for the awaiting test, I ask that should I be returned to the light of earth, I be granted a share in the afflictions of others, for I need the strength given by suffering and sorrow, and will welcome them for the benefits they bestow. Then one who stood in this place Then one who stood in this place gave the appointed one water to drink and said this prayer: O unnamable God, hear the prayer of the Anointed One. Strengthen him with such courage and fortitude that he will not fail in his hour of awful trial, but shall pass beyond the place of terror through the portal of death, and so may shine with the protecting radiance and therefore return unharmed in spirit and body. The Anointed One entered the first cavern of initiation, and the Anointed One entered the first cavern of initiation and was tested there in such manner that no ordinary mortal could endure it. After 3 days he came out saying to one who stood there, O acceptable suffering, what has been decreed is indeed best. After passing through the first 2 caverns of initiation, the candidate became an enwrapped one, and in the last small cavern of the Lord of the twice-born released his spirit. The enwrapped one was then placed within the womb of rebirth, and there, within the tomb of stone, he was left 7 days. Here came complete liberation of the spirit. It floated out through the confining stone and went as it willed. No words of men, however learned, can ever describe this experience. The spirit of the enwrapped one returned to the body at the behest of the Lord of the twice-born, and he who had survived became a twice-born one. When led forth into the place of glorification, his face shines with an inner beauty indescribable. And from that day onward, his conduct and attitudes are changed, and he is at peace with all men and with himself. He needs nothing from earthly life and seeks nothing. He accepts and enjoys whatever life offers, for he has learned the answer to the riddle of life and solved the secret of the ages. Your brother was one who underwent the initiation of the twice-born, and he has drawn the curtain aside a little to reveal only what is permitted. It is little enough, but sufficient for you to understand why, when kings and governors rose to position and power, they declined the ordeal. It is understandable, for the final ordeal brought earthly life as close as possible to extinction without complete severance of the spiritual umbilical cord. Before this went more than 20 years arduous preparation, yet long and terrible though it was, the time and austerity did not exceed the necessary limits by even 1 jot. In sorrow, your brother must say that it was not an ordeal required to obtain something man has never possessed. It was to regain something he had lost. It was, however hard as it may seem, the lowest price payable for the secret of the ages. For long years, he who aspired to become one of the twice-born had to practice the awakening. Tongue twister. Oh, whoops. How you guys feeling about the music? Should we switch up the lo-fi? Should we hit him with the flutes? Blue Kitten, what's up? Ambiguous, hello, how you guys doing? Where you coming from? Come on in, take your shoes off, stay a while. We're reading from the Colburn Bible, but also chilling. Also just enjoying each other's company. It's nice to not have to just read all by myself out here in the cold den while we wait in between dog barks. How you guys feeling about the text so far, those of you that didn't hear? Alright. For long years, he who aspired to become one of the twice-born had to practice the awakening of his spirit and bring his body under complete control. The first thing to overcome was met long before any threshold was approached. It was something which lurked in the uncontrollable thoughts of men. The frightening experiences during the years of Come on, bro. Whoops, wrong button. You can buy my book on Amazon, Fred King. I'll send you a link right now. 1 second. I only have one book. I've been meaning to write another book, but a novel this time. Something where I can sort of take all the teachings and put them into story format. That would be cool. I would love that. I would love that. All right. Here it is. Whoa, that's a long link. There's a link though, Fred. Thank you. The frightening experiences during the years of preparation had to be modified and their effect channeled off. Otherwise, the awakening spirit would have been completely overwhelmed. As the material body of man cannot come too close to a blazing fire, so cannot the spirit approach too close to the sphere of divinity. Having arisen from the womb of rebirth, the spirit is completely freed from any doubt about the immortality of man. Can a man doubt the source of sunlight when he can see the sun arising in glory before his eyes? Having joined the twice-born, each man has a choice. He can go on to higher development within the realms of light, or he can remain to help others. It's like, what would the WWJD dog bark? Yes, you're welcome, Fred. I have notes for the book. I have actually already written the first chapter of the book. You guys want to hear how the first chapter of my book goes? All right, so you're on the ocean. It's a guy standing on the ocean, and he's looking out over the ocean, and there is a massive tidal wave coming, like stupid big, like Younger Dryas, world-ending, came from a meteor miles high, and no one's even running because it's so big. Everyone just accepts that they're about to die. And there's a girl next to him on the beach, and the girl starts to comfort him, and the guy's freaking out, and how I can't remember. I wrote the chapter like last month. Hold on, it's like. Yeah, so the main character, our guy, is dreaming. And he realizes he's dreaming. But the girl who's comforting him next to him says first, she says, "Don't worry, this has happened before." And the guy goes, "What do you mean this has happened before?" And she says, "This is one of my dreams. I have it all the time. You're just a character in one of my dreams." And the guy is like, "What?" He's like, "This is my dream. What the fuck you talking about? I'm just a character in your dream." And the girl like smiles at him, smiles at the dude like, "Oh, you poor dream thing, didn't know that you were a dream. It's okay." She holds his hand. They both look at this wave that's about to wipe out humanity. And then the dude wakes up, and he's just like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" That's the first chapter of my book. I'm stoked. All right, Doug, shut the hell up so we can continue with this as he barks again. God damn it. I know though. I'm pretty excited about that book. Let me go back real quick. Go ahead and cut that out.
You can buy my book.
Hold on, I'm doing some. While the dog barks, I'll just go back and edit. I'll just go back and edit what's been recorded so far. If you came here to be highly entertained, sorry to let you down. This is welcome to the exciting life of Man of Letters audiobooks.
These must not be entrusted to common folk, neither must they be degraded by disclosing them to such as would profane. It is a grim undertaking fraught with danger. It
I don't know if you guys heard my question. Can you hear the audio coming through your speaker, or is the playback audiobook coming through? Is it being picked up by my microphone, or is it going through your speakers? If that makes any sense.
Only the elder men who had completed the 3 cycles of 7 years were accepted. They had to be men with wisdom and virtue. They had to be men with wisdom and
Oops.
they had to be
All right. The dog's chilling, I think. The frightening experiences during the years of preparation had to be modified, and their effect channeled. No, I fucking read that part already. Oops. Oh, so sad. Thanks, dog. You made me lose my spot. And there's no paragraphs on this page either, so I just gotta kind of... Oh, here we go. Yes. All right. Talking about the sunrise, yada yada, realms of light, getting up with your brothers, your brother chose to remain. Having joined the twice born, each man has a choice. If a man does not have the courage or the time, the inclination, or the ability to sail to a far distant land, then he would know how about the land. He must listen to those who have made the journey. So it is with those who would know the secret of the ages. Men possess creed of little value because they are unwilling to pay the price of something better. Your brother has no way of explaining this ultimate experience to others, although he has looked upon the face of truth and now understands the purpose of life. What he has seen must remain locked within the heart. Though he no longer has to be satisfied with belief alone, he cannot extend his certainty to others. Yet men forever seek him out, hoping to share with him the wonderful knowledge which he has so gloriously transformed his life with. This he tries to do within the limits imposed by his own expanded enlightenment. Beyond that he cannot go. The spirit of the twice-born can be liberated at will. How often have you seen your brother in a state of ecstasy which he cannot describe? It is a state beginning in the quiet bliss, flowing outward in bright radiance from an inner light which can even illuminate the material darkness about him. He hears the music of the sacred spheres and sees the throbbing pulsations of life hearing about him, like waves upon the great seas. He becomes aware of an inflowing of unspoken knowledge from a surrounding power. It does not come from any one point, but appears to flow out of all things and to penetrate all things. Material objects lose their density and become visible within. They become as though compounded of 10,000 whirling spheres of brightness. Colors are no longer dull and restricted. They become infinite in depth and number. The spirit becomes lost in adoration and wonder at the beauty revealed in everything. The soul is aware of something glorious within all this and knows it for the spirit outflowing from its source. There is a complete unconsciousness of others, for the greater sight transcends their material bodies. The spirits of men are seen in a harmony of colors in their bodies as whirling masses of power. The experiencing soul is lost in a sea of sensitivity and feeling. There is a swelling surge of harmony, a sounding of glorious chords. It is the sea that washes the shores of eternity, lapping upon the near strand. It is an experience that no one can give to another or adequately describe to him. It is the earned reward of those who have paid the price. It is not the only reward, for throughout life For throughout the life of one who is twice born, there is boundless feeling of well-being. Sickness and disease are unknown. There is an inviting love for all men, a sense of brotherhood. And over all this, the certain knowledge of the immortality of the soul and its unity within the source. The impressions received in moments of illumination are everlasting. They fill the spirit with a glorified splendor. There are flashes of inspired visions, and the future unrolls and can be read as the past. There is a form of joyous rapture experienced by those who have risen from the... There is a form of joyous rapture experienced by those who have risen from the womb of rebirth, and when it comes, it can no more be held back than the sun can be stayed in its rising. When the body of your brother lay enwrapped within the womb of rebirth, his spirit was carried out. His spirit was carried out as on the wings of a seraph, and become lost beyond understanding. He knew not which way to go or what to seek. Then, like a roll of distant thunder, there was a swelling sound, and there came an over-dazzling light. It grew steadily more brilliant until your brother saw a beautiful form of divine glory arrayed in a splendor beyond all earthly bounds. The cumbersome words of earth cannot do justice to what your brother wishes to describe. It is like trying to sew a silk garment with rope, or to eat sweetness with a spade. Words are wholly inadequate symbols. The vision of glory which had been granted passed away, and your brother found himself in the familiar sphere of the spirit. Once the mysterious border has been crossed, it remains open ever after and can be recrossed almost at will. You are told of these things because your brother knows that the age of the twice-born draws to its close. Because of those who have devoted their lives to the discovery of truth, there is progress in the sphere of the spirit. Nothing has been lost. Nothing has been said in vain. The great gates are still closed, but they are no longer bolted. Now they will open at a knock. The road is better marked and the way more clearly indicated. They who lit the path have departed from earth, but their service has not ended. They serve still in another place, while life on earth moves forward. Life in the sphere of the spirit does not stand still. We finished chapter 2. Jesus, that took us way too long. God, those dogs suck so much. Well, okay, y'all, we finished chapter 2. Chapter 3 is pretty short. We'll run chapter 3, the Brotherhood. Seaflower, are you spitting right now? Oh, the audiobook is low? Alright, noted. Noted. If the dog barks, it's okay. I know, I've been thinking if I should just leave the dog barking in there for like the actual audiobooks. Like for the finish, well, because I can't edit out a dog bark in the middle of a sentence. But I wonder if if an owl was hooting, I would leave it. Or if birds chirp, I would leave it. Even if a cat meowed, I would leave it. But there's something about dog. Maybe should I leave dog barking in the background? What do you guys think? What's up, Junior? Tidal wave, Portugal the man. That's interesting. Aha. That's very interesting. All right. We're going to run the next chapter. Chapter 3. Well, we're going to actually... Let's see if we can get a little more ancient on them. Change up the vibe a little bit. We'll switch it with this bad boy. Monitor and output. Oh, those don't work anymore, though, do they? Check, check. I don't think those flutes work anymore. Can I browse? Flute for OBS. Oh, balls. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. Here we go. Chapter 3, the Brotherhood. Let me make sure we're recording first. All right. Chapter 3, the Brotherhood. Brothers in belief. There are two roads through life, the road of good and the road of evil. They are not clearly defined roads and often run side by side and sometimes cross each other. Those who travel without a guide or in darkness often mistake one road for the other. We are those who have chosen to walk in light, a brotherhood of men who travel the road of good together in companionship. We are companions on the great path of the true way, and when an instructing brother speaks of the great path of the true way, he speaks of a double path. The companions of the right hand are those who bear the burdens of earthly labor and advancement, for they require strength, dexterity, and steadiness. The companions of the left hand are those who bear the burdens of spiritual labor and enlightenment, things closer to the heart of man. The brotherhood is separated into two parts. There is an earthly brotherhood, and though it may be small in numbers and have few possessions, this will not always be so. There is also a heavenly brotherhood, comprising certain of the twice-born and their followers who have gone before. Their task is to clear the netherworld of demons and dark spirits and prepare the way for those who follow. They are like men who enter a new country and must clear it of wild beasts and bring the land under control. It is the task of those above and those below to build a road joining the two territories. Your brother is not well equipped to instruct in earthly matters, and therefore leaves it to another. The caravan moves quicker when each man rides his own camel. In spiritual matters, the most important is that each man should awaken his own soul. A task more difficult than it may appear, but for which earth is the dedicated instrument. The first objective to attain towards this end is self-taming. Just as the horse has to be broken in before it can be of any service, so has the mortal body of man to be tamed and brought under control. To do this requires not only self-discipline, but also the ability to rise above the adversary and the mortal body of man, an unruly steed. The duties, the obligations, and the restraints by which those who follow the great path of the true way direct their steps are not imposed capriciously. They are, in fact, no more than the bare essentials covering the first steps. That is why everyone before admittance to the brotherhood must accept every obligation and decree covering our way of life. We do not claim to know the only path. Undoubtedly there are others, but we can claim to know the best. The top of the mountain may be reached by many paths, but the shortest one is always the hardest. Supreme personal spiritual experience is undoubtedly the best source for the foundation of true spiritual faith. It begins with the development of latent spiritual powers through meditation. When you are ready, seek out a place of solitude, a place that is away from the abodes of men, a place that is restful and quiet. Take a skin and a little food and water, just sufficient for your needs. Now turn your thoughts inwards, harmonizing them with the rhythm of the body. Let your spirit seek harmony with the spirit flowing about it so that the two become one. While at your meditations, neither overeat nor undereat. for there must be harmony in your eating and sleeping, in your relaxation and activity. To become one who knows the joys of spiritual self-consciousness, to have a truth-revealing vision transcending anything knowable by the senses, to rise above the bondage of pain and sorrow, and to free the spirit from the shackles of the body at will, is something unattainable by spiritual meditation alone. Leading to this road is a path of moral self-discipline and courage. The creed that teaches spiritual things alone is as barren as one concerned only with earthly things. Your brother will not set forth in writing all things concerning the awakening of the spirit. They would be of no use until the moral foundation is laid. Such teachings must remain within the higher circle of those who travel the right-hand path and not disclosed to the uninitiated. Let the prayer upon your admission be always fresh in your memories. Great Supreme Creator, craftsman of earth and of the multiple spheres, grant that our brother may always remain loyal, that he will day by day become ever more worthy, and so dedicate and devote his life to the service of mankind and the completion of its purpose, that he shall forever walk in the light of truth. Grant him the crown of wisdom. Help him in his self-taming, so that he may combat the tendency inherent in man towards anger, greed, and self-pity. Strengthen him, that he may overthrow the evils of tale-bearing, malice, and jealousy. Grant him the ability to see with the eye of understanding the defects and shortcomings of his brothers, and to emulate their goodness. Nice, that one went pretty smooth. That was chapter 3. That was 2. I'm digging this flute too. That was a nice touch. Oh, sorry, I just read your comment right now, Pooh Kitten, and changed the lo-fi to our Egyptian flute. And are you guys hearing the flute? That's some kind of magic, no? Hey, welcome everyone. Take your shoes off, stay a while. We're reading the Coburn Bible and having tea. We're having some sage tea. And we're hanging with you guys. Let us. Let's see how long chapter 4 is. Alright, we're going to run chapter 4 because why the hell not? Let's see, the time's going to be cut in half down to about 15, 10, 15, 25, 20. Are you guys having a good evening? Are you ready for chapter 4? Wait, what the heck? Okay, well, without further ado, here we go. The dog's all, what? Are we starting? Pooh Kitten, thanks for the advice. You got it. Jamu, hello. Welcome in, Jamu. Welcome, welcome, here we go. This one's called Amos. Interesting. You guys ever heard of Amos Lee? Come on. Chapter 4. Amos. Amos led the congregation and the people down from the mountains and brought them into the land of Heth. A good land was opened up before them. But Amos warned the people that they were like gems among pebbles. Therefore they were not to provoke the people who had accepted them because of their skill. Amos said, "We will build a city for ourselves and our children, and within it a temple for those who follow the lights of the right-hand path. The temple will be like the pearl within an oyster, or the hearts within the body." The congregation with Amos were the children of light, and the people were Kenim, who worshipped Yahwilleth, and Galbanim, who worshipped Eloah. But Amos taught the people to walk in the lights of truth, and said, "To each of you his own God, but above any God which can be named is something that cannot be named, and you shall know it as the Supreme Spirit." The Galbanim built the city and the temple, while the Kenim set up forges among the sons of Heth, and Amos went among them and saw that all was well. The number of those who followed the right-hand path and resided about the temple was 144. That's funny. And it was never any more or any less. The number of those who labored in and about the city and dug the soil or attended getting tongue-tied. The number of those who labored in and about the city and dug the soil or attended to sheep and cattle was 2,435. The number of the Kenim who followed Amos was 820, and the number of the Galbanim was 3,015. These were the numbers of those who could labor or bear arms. As Amos went out among the sons of Heth, he taught the way of light, but they would not listen to his words. They were like men walking a circle in darkness, one behind the other, each having his hand on the shoulder of the man in front. Therefore, when the king of the sons of Heth came to buy what Kenim had made, Amos spoke to him about the way of light, and sometimes the king listened. When they came upon the priests of the sons of Heth, Amos said, "What manner of men are these who prance about as though the ground were covered with hot cinders? Before their altars, they are like drunkards who go about shouting and singing. They leap like horses kicking at the wind. What manner of spirit possesses them? Is it a spirit of light or a spirit of darkness? We have seen this often among your people. It is seen even among the princes and those who sit in judgment. Who can understand the words that pour out from their lips? This is not prophecy, but a drug-induced delusion. The people who listen to their words are as misguided as those who resort to a tomb at night and sit within a vault. If a spirit comes, it is a restless one whose words have little value, for they are hollow, empty things." Damn, almost just coming in hot on this guy. Surely the gods of such as these are demons in disguise, whose powers are a myth, for they are unhearing and unseeing things. They are unfeeling idols clothed in garments of delusion woven within the tormented thoughts of men. The king said, "I have seen your holy men as they sat beneath their trees, and they too acted in a manner strange to the eyes of ordinary men. Where is the difference?" Amos said, "Our holy men sit in quietude, at peace within themselves, and if their mortal eyes are unseeing, it is because their spirits roam freely as birds. There is a test whereby the difference can be made known, if you will agree to it." The king gave the sign of consent. Excuse me. Come on, back up a little bit. There we go. Then a place of absolute darkness was prepared. A place to which light could in no manner be admitted. Into it went 2 priests of the sons of Heth, and 2 of the holy ones from the congregation, the king and 2 attendants, and Amos. Then, while the king and his attendants watched, they saw the holy ones radiate a light that lit up the whole darkness, so that the faces of all became visible. The priests of the sons of Heth remained in darkness, for their spirits were feeble. Feeble things without power. This is the test of true illumination. And because of this, the king looked even more favorably upon Amos and his people. But he did not change his ways or seek to walk in the light. For Amos refused to perform acts of magic before his court or to foretell the future. And the king believed that magic could accomplish all things. He believed there was an effortless way to accomplish all things. And if the secret were known and could not understand that the secret was safeguarded behind the doors of austerity and self-discipline. There was a city called Migdal within the kingdom, and some of the Kenim labored there for the temple. When Amos came to the city, it was the festival of its great god, and no man labored, neither did the Kenim, for it was the day when their fires rested. When Amos sought the overseer of the Kenim, he could not find him, and none of his people would say where he had gone. But Amos found him at the temple of Beloth, and awaited him in the courtyard outside, and was filled with anger against the overseer. When the overseer came out, Amos chided him. But the overseer said, "What have I done wrong? This place provides the food I eat, and is its God not brother to mine?" There was a decision to be made. Should a door of brass be cast one way or another? I sought an answer from the God by means beyond the control of men. Amos said, "Might not even the God answer according to his own pleasure? By what means was the decision sought?" And the overseer said, "By the even which only the God could control." Amos replied, "You say this is beyond the control of men. It may be so, but there are men who are more than men even as this God, whose smallness I will prove. Come, let us put this matter to test." Amos then sent an attendant in haste to bring back a holy man of the congregation who was with his caravan. When the holy man came, Amos showed the overseer and the priest that such things were not beyond the control of enlightened men, for the holy man could foretell the issue, whatever was done with the Eben. When Amos left the temple, he took with him a woman named Kedshot, whom he had won from the priests, and made her free. The degradation of women to serve the temples was The degradation of women to serve the temples was common in the land of Heth, and Amos raised his voice against it. When next in the presence of the king, he said, "The common feelings of all men condemn fornication, and it is not allowed by your own laws. Yet if fornication is sanctified to your God, the priests permit it for their profit. Is it not true that this wickedness is now so common in the temples of Heth that the woman who seeks to sell the services of her body in the drinking booths can ask no more than a handful of a meal?" The king replied, "Well, such is the custom of Heth, which is the long-standing and cannot be changed." Amos replied, "Does the long-standing of a custom make it good? If your desire is to walk in the light of truth, you must choose between your form of worship and righteousness. You must choose between your gods of this land and truth. If a nation sow the wind, it must be prepared to reap the whirlwind, for no other crop can spring from such seed except through violation of laws which are never inconsistent." The king said, "I have long been patient with you, stranger with the unbridled tongue, but do not overvex me." So Amos held his peace, for he had disregarded his own command to his people. Yet the king heard the words of Amos and was kindly towards him. When the king came to Lethsin to buy the wares of the Kenim, Amos was there with them and said to the king, "The gods of Heth are many. Added to those of other places, the gods must be beyond counting. Why are there so many, and which one is the most profitable to serve? The priests say each has power in its own place. Can this be so among gods? Amos said, there is only one God, but each man views him from a different standpoint and in his own light. It is even so with lesser things of earth. How much more so with the greater things of heaven? A mountain rises up from a plain, and men see it from all sides, and to each it appears different. Some see it in daylight, and others in moonlight, some at dusk, some at dawn. It is never alike to all men. Even so do men view God in different aspects. As no man knows the whole mountain but sees only in part, so men see God in part, and each man names the part he sees according to what he sees and according to his understanding. Therefore, though it seems that the gods are numerous because of their names and differences, each is no more than a part of the whole. There is, in truth, only one God, but what mortal man can see him in wholeness? So the king said, if this be so, so well it may be. My eyesight is as good as yours, and I see just as far. Amos replied, he who has ridden around the mountain and climbed to its summit knows it best. The city built by the children of light grew in strength, and the people prospered under Amos and forgot their trials in Eshamis. When Amos led them into the land of Heth, he was still a young man. But as the people became many and strong, so he became heavy in years. The king who knew Amos died, and the young king did not look upon him with favor, for Amos did not forbid the Kenim to go out into other nations. Oh, that was end of chapter 4. Ended kind of abruptly. We got some good work done. We got done a good hour of the audiobook. How you guys doing out there? Are you enjoying your tea? Jose Santo. Where's Sunset Beach at? Dang, Orange County? Fuck. Ooh, hello everybody. We have finished chapter 4 of the Colburn Bible. And I'm getting cold out here. How you feeling out there, huh? Are you vibing out? Any donations are well accepted, by the way. Each donation helps keep the candles lit for nights like these. Really thank you guys for supporting the channel. Should we read another chapter? What's up? How you guys feeling over here? Alright, if you're just coming in, hi, my name's Keith. We've been reading from the Colburn Bible, and we have discovered that we're actually, this is cross-referenced by the Emerald Tablets pretty thoroughly so far. We've got the Children of Light, we've got Ancient Chem, raising certain temples within the city, separating them from the savages, the savage locals, which Thoth talks about in the Emerald Tablets. It's pretty cool. I'm not saying that they're talking about the same story. I'm just saying it. Isn't it interesting that it would appear at least so. What's up, Green Man? What's up? Hello from California, Green Man. The Laws of Amos. How long is this next chapter? Oh, it's quite long. Ooh, it's quite long. How many words? Ooh, this is a long ass chapter. Hold on, we'll skip this and I'll read chapter. This next one sounds boring and long. Chapter 6 is shorter and starts off kind of good. I don't know how you guys feel about reading the Laws of Amos with me. Might have to save that one for the alone time. Riveting. I'm recording the 4th book of the Colburn Bible. We're recording it live. So, that's what you have stumbled into. That's what you have found yourself into. That's what draws me in. What draws you in, Green Man? The long, boring stuff? 12. We have 12 people in the room. 12 disciples. That makes me the 13th warrior. The 13th ghost. You guys ever realize that with 13? It's always your 12, and then your 13 is like Jesus has 12 disciples, and he was a 13th. In that movie, 13th Warrior, with I think Antonio Banderas or someone, they had their 12 guys, but the prophecy said they needed the 13th. I don't know, just a thought. Powerful is the connection with the tablets I have. All right, Yoda, I like it. All right, we're gonna slam this next chapter. It is chapter, not 5. It is chapter 6. Chapter 5 looks like a friggin' 30-minute chapter read, and I'm not trying to be involved with that at the moment, so we will go to this one. Oh, people, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Vámonos. MCQ, you still here, brother? Nice, man. Nice. Chapter 6, the tale of Hillin. Thoot, the son of Pelath. Come on, don't do this to me. A little out, a little in. Bada bing, bada boom. Right there we go. Nope, a little more. Yeah. Okay. Chapter 6, the tale of Hillin. Thoot, the son of Pelath, a freeman of Elon Morah in the land of Hethim, wrote these things in the harvest years of his life, when his heart was filled with wisdom and understanding. He who reads them with the eyes alone will derive little benefit, but he who receives them with an enlightened and uplifted heart will find a response within the depths of his own soul. While Hiram Uribas, son of Hashem, was still a beardless youth taking his pleasure among the riches and splendor of his father's house, a wise man came from a faraway land. He came not as a great man riding with a rich caravan, but weary-footed, begging with the desire for wisdom and truth, swearing that from that day forward he would devote his life to the search for them. After the departure of the wise man, Hiram became restless under his father's roof, and it was not long before he set off with a bundle of food and skin of water for Urislim. Arriving there, he slept in the house of Gabel, a servant at the temple of the winged god Fire, and from thence he journeyed towards Beth Shemesh, which lies past Tirgulud on the road to Egypt. Hiram was a young man of his people, tall of stature, with a darting, bright-eyed glance. His long band-bound hair hung low on his shoulders, and his stride was wide and firm. He came up upon Beth Shemesh close to nightfall, when it was not good to enter the city, and therefore, as darkness closed about him, he prepared to lay himself down beneath the wall of a vineyard. This was owned by a wealthy widow who, seeing the young man preparing for the night, sent men out to bring him into her guest house. The widow was neither old nor unbeautiful, and when she saw the comeliness of the young man, her heart was gladdened, and she bade him welcome. Ooh, this one's gonna get a little spicy. Hiram did not depart with the light of the morning. And it came to pass that the widow offered him a high place on her estates. Hillin accepted, for he was young and pleased with the honor. But in the course of time, the widow had become enamored with him and sought to make him her husband. Hillin sought a way of release from this, for he had already heard tales of the woman's many lovers. The widow said to Hillin, "Be my husband, for the one I had has died and left no heir. Let us enjoy the fruits of your manhood, for I desire the seed of your body, so that I may have a splendid son. I will give you robes of blue and red, and they will be laced with chains of gold. You shall ride in a high chariot wheeled with brass and poled with copper. Many servants will attend you, and wise men brought from the east and west will fill your heart with wisdom. You shall lack nothing that satisfies your desires." Hillin was not at ease with himself, for he was young and lacked the wisdom to deal with the situation. He answered the widow hastily in these words, "You are a woman of beauty, and this alone makes you a desirable treasure to men. But how would it fare with me in marriage? It is said that you have had many lovers, and they find you as smoldering fire, and It is said that you have had many lovers, and they find you as a smoldering fire in a cold room, a door restraining neither wind nor sand, a roof that falls in upon the sleeper beneath it, a boat that drowns the boatman, the crust over a quicksand, water that does not slake the thirst, and food that sits heavily on the stomach. Which man did you ever love with constancy, so that he walked in the joy of contentment? Which man could ever call you his?" Ouch. Ouch, brother. Damn, he came in hot. Homeboy came in hot. Sorry, girl. The words from his mouth stung the widow like hornets, and she flew into a rage after the manner of women. She called upon her servants, and they hit him with sticks and drove him off her estate. With a little more wisdom in his heart, he continued on his way into Egypt, and after many days he arrived at the city of On. Hillin dwelt among the southern men and on the outskirts of the city, for many had been captured during the wars and made slaves. When lustfully aroused, the bodies of these men exude a sweet odor like honey, which no man can detect, and it makes all women succumb to them. What am I reading right now? The southern men, for many have been captured during the wars and made slaves. That's funny. When these dudes get turned on, they exude honey. Very interesting. This is the manner in which the nation of Egypt sacrificed its purity. In the days when Hillin came to Egypt, the pharaoh Athmos ruled. In those days, Egypt was at war with the Abramites, for their great red-headed king had committed adultery with the wife of a prince of Paran. The remorseful king reaped as he had sown, for his favorite daughter was ravished by her own brother, and his wives were humiliated and ravished before the eyes of all men. Because of the war, there was much coming and going of strangers in the city of On, and Hiram went unnoticed. Hiram dwelt in Egypt and absorbed its wisdom, but the thing which delighted his heart the most was the tale of its long-hidden treasures. He learned about the nest-burning bird whose wondrous many-hued egg granted men the gift of eternal life. He heard about the serpent pearls and the bright jewels which glowed with the night of the sun, even on the darkest nights. All these things he desired to possess for himself. The nesting place of the nest-burning bird was among the Mothbenim, eastward of Egypt. But among the treasures of Egypt was one of its eggs. The egg, the pearls, and the jewels were safeguarded in a dark cave upon an island called Emishpet, which was set in the middle of a lake called Sedina, In the waters of the lake were fearsome water monsters, part beast, part fish. On the shores of the lake dwelt the shape-shifting priests, guardians of the treasures. Northward of the lake was a broad pasture land where the shepherd Naaman tended the temple flocks, but Naaman was old and had no son who would follow him. Therefore he took Hiram into his household, and Hiram became as a son to him, tending the sheep of the temple, and no Egyptian was with him. One day, while the sheep still suckled their lambs, Hiram was out in the pastures, sitting near the cool waters because of the heat. As he reclined in the shade, he played gay shepherd tunes on his flute, and in the many times As he reclined in the shade, he played gay shepherd tunes on his flute, and in the many times he had been there, no one had ever disturbed him. Yet not far away was the house of the virgins of El, but the maidens who dwelt there rarely went abroad. This day, however, Asu, daughter of the high priest, walked abroad, and hearing the melody of the flute drew near to listen, but Hiram did not see her because of the bush between them. The maiden sat down, taking the sandals off her feet. It's about to get spicy again. Hearing a cry from one of the sheep in the distance, Hiram stopped playing and stood up, his back towards the maiden. She, seeing him stand up, sought to creep away before he saw her, but as she did, her foot was pierced by a thorn, and she let out a cry of pain. Hiram turned, and seeing her distress, hastened to help her. He withdrew the thorn tenderly and carried her down to the pool so that she could bathe the foot in cool waters. While she did so, he entertained her with sweet melodies on his flute. "Oh yeah, sure you did, Hiram. Sure you did." The maiden fell in love with Hiram, and he with her. But because she was a dedicated virgin and daughter of the high priest, neither could open the doors of their heart. The maiden spent nights weeping, for she had a love for which there was no remedy. Hiram took his flock to other pastures, but still their hearts drew them back to the place of meeting, and they met again and yet again. Now the wife of Naaman noticed that Hiram pined as with a sickness, and she spoke to him about it, and he told her of Asu, the maiden from the house of the virgins of Eller. The wife of Naaman spoke words of consolation for this hopeless love, knowing they helped but little. In the fullness of the year, Hiram took his flock to distant pastures around the other side of the lake. While he was away, the wife of Naaman took herself down to the place where he was wont to meet Asu, and one day Asu came. She was known to the wife of Naaman, who was the gatherer of herbs for the temple. They spoke of many things, of Hiram and of the gods, of priests and their ways of temples, and those who served in them, of life and of man and of woman. Now, when Hiram returned, it was nigh the feast of sheep slaying, and at this time sacrifices of lambs were made to the water monsters in the lake. A while away, Hiram had thought about Asu and about the treasure of Egypt, both seemingly equally unattainable. The wife of Naaman spoke to him rarely, and Hiram wondered, for this is not the way of women. And on the eve of the feast of sheep slaying, the lake boats were prepared for the annual pilgrimage to the island. Among these was the great boat of Arab, kept in memory of the day when the scorcher of heaven rose with the sun, and the earth was overwhelmed. From this boat the sacrificial lambs were offered to the water monsters, and on it served Asu and 8 virgins. There too, the high priest. Shapeshifter priest, nice, I know, right? What's up, Stray Panther? Not to see you, brother. Hiram. Whoa, hold on, sorry. Hiram. Maybe it's Hiram. Would make more sense to be Hiram, right? Hiram had conceived a plan within his mind whereby, at the risk of his life, he might possess himself of the treasures of Egypt. This year, Naaman being now frail, he alone would be in charge of the sacrificial lambs, together with 2 boy priests to assist him. They came from the temple of the lake, dedicated to the bright-bearded one who once saved Earth from the destruction through fiery hail by making a 3rd round. Whatever the hell that means. On the night before the festival, Hiram slept with his small flock beside the boats, and at first they were put aboard. As the sun rose upon the high priest, came back many other priests and princes, and the virgins came also. They offered sacrifices at the temple of departure and then set out upon the waters. In another boat were Naaman and his wife. In another boat were Naaman and his wife, and there were other boats filled with people. After making offerings upon the waters, the boats arrived at the island, and preparations were made for the island ceremony, which lasted throughout the night. The lambs were offered as darkness came, and the waters became red with blood, and the water monsters satiated with meat. Now the cave on the island was protected from men by the spirit of Mot, who had died there in days long forgotten, and the priests guarded its entrance. But Hiram did not fear the spirit of Mot, for it could do no harm to one who carried upon his body the same blood scar as Mot had borne. I'm getting deja vu right now. Hiram, the stranger, had been so marked out from the other men in his childhood. At the 6th hour of the night, 3 virgins entered the cave to bring forth the treasures, and with them went a priest protected by sanctification in the blood of a lamb. 5 priests who were guardians of the treasures and never left the island also went into the cave with them, garbed in skins and masked with the heads of beasts. Sounds fucking terrifying. These just wild-ass ritual these dudes are holding. The treasures were brought forth and placed upon the altar against the rock wall beside the cave, so that all might behold them. Over the altar was laid a cloth of linen and gold. While the people passed before the treasures and danced and sang, priests came and went in the cave. Before the cave and away from the road leading down to the lake, there was a pathway which went down to the pool of purification. Here, after the maidens have bathed, men and women came down one by one to be purified in its waters. Then they went through an opening into the lake, and passing through the waters along the shore where they rose not much above the waist, ascended by steps through a small arched temple back on the road. If they were truly purified, they were never touched by the water monsters. Never had a maiden been taken by the water monsters. But on this awful night, while a maiden passed between pool and temple, there was a loud cry of agony quickly stifled. The island fell silent with foreboding, and as the night passed, the name of Asu was whispered from mouth to mouth. The treasures were carried back in gloom and silence under a mantle of dread, and the head of the high priest was bowed in sorrow and disgrace. When the boats departed, none noticed that Hiram was missing, for his duty was done. He could return in any boat, and none was the strange craft that clove the waters of the lake of Sidana that night. Hiram returned to the shepherd hut of Naaman, and nothing was said to him, for Naaman thought he had joined with the people sorrowing in the temples, and always many remained about for several days. When Hiram had refreshed himself, he left Naaman, who was weary and weighed down with age and sorrow, and prepared to return to his flocks. In his grief, because of the death of Asu, he could find solace nowhere, except perhaps in the familiar solitude among his sheep. But the wife of Naaman said, "Let me walk with you a little way, for I too suffer, and yet must seek herbs which are needed and not easy to find." When they had gone some distance, she said, "I go this way. Will you not accompany me and humor an old woman who may need your aid?" Hiram said, No gladness, no joy can ever surpass what I now feel, yet this thing increases a burden already upon me, and is less simple than it appears. For this you must know, I have taken the treasures of Egypt and hidden them in a place where no man can find them. Who would suspect me if I went about my task without another day? Who would suspect me if I went about my task without change, a shepherd with no thought beyond his sheep and flute? The cry may be raised even now, though I think another day will pass first. Then who could trace the passage of every man who has departed, even though pursuit is made in all directions? Why did you not tell me of your plot?" The wife of Naaman said, "How could you be told of something which might not have been, or which might have betrayed by glance or bearing? We too thought you no more than a simple shepherd with no thought beyond flute playing, except love. What now will you flee with it? What now will you flee with the maiden and abandon the treasures? Or shall she flee alone, for she is committed to flight?" Hiram said, "I cannot abandon love for treasure, but neither can I abandon this treasure for life or let it corrupt. Therefore let Asu the maiden disguise herself, and together we will depart to a safe place without the treasure, none suspecting she still lives. Then in the fullness of time I will return and recover the treasure, for no man can discover its hiding place. However, I will not depart in haste, but wait and bid Naaman farewell, and go in fullness of time." Spooky, the freaking wooden door just shut itself. Spooky. Hiram left Asu and returned with the wife of Naaman. Coming into Naaman, Hiram told him he had a vision such as no man could disregard, and must go to the land of his fathers, but he would return before the coming again of the season. And that night a great cry went up among the temples, and in the light of the morning men came and questioned Naaman and those with him, but found them simple shepherds. Hiram departed, taking the ass of Naaman, and with him went the wife of Naaman. They were joined by Asu, cloaked as a beggar girl who earned her food by ungainly dancing, whose face was unwashed and clothes unclean. They accompanied men who hunted for the stolen treasures, and their possessions were opened before the eyes of all men. After 7 days, the wife of Naaman returned. Hiram and Asu went onwards until they came to the Bethlehem. Oh, I'm running out of steam. Hiram and Asu went onwards until they came to Bethlehem near Phoenice, beyond the borders of Egypt, and they dwelt there among the Cherubim. In the fullness of time, Hiram returned to Egypt and recovered the treasures, bringing them inside skins hidden within other skins filled with water and oil. Now, when Hiram had left Egypt and drawn nigh to Bethlehem, he saw that the dwelling he had left no longer stood, and the fields about it were overgrown with burning bushes. Within the burnt-out ruins he found remains and bones, and knew them from those of Asu and of Cherubim with whom she dwelt. He saw that they had died by the sword. Hiram did not linger at the place of death and thought to take himself to a place of safety, but knowing the dangers of the land, he sought a place where he hid the egg. of the nest-burning bird, and the pearls, all except 2, and most of the jewels. Having secured them in safety, he went on his way. Hiram kept going until he came upon a small wooded place nearly 2 days' journey away. Here, while he slept, 2 wild swine came and swallowed 3 of the jewels which he had tied in a piece of hide. Later he lost one while fording a river, and one was taken from him while he sought shelter in a temple. 2 pearls and 2 jewels were taken from him by other priests who placed them in a treasury of their god. The remaining treasures which he had with him were lost when he was waylaid, and though his life was spared, he was left bleeding and near to death. As Hiram lay by the roadside, he was secured by wandering metal workers and brought back to health by them, for they were men of his own blood. Hiram remained with the metal workers for some years and learned their craft. He became skilled in the making of weapons and in their use. In the fullness of time, he returned to the place where he had secreted the treasures and recovered them. He then went down to a city by the sea and took ship to a far-off land. No man has seen him since. But it is said he married the daughter of a king and became a prince among foreign people. This is the tale of Hiram. As written, it was a wordy tale and well preserved, but without great import. It has imaginative descriptions and indulged in voluminous flights of poetic fancy, and therefore it is rendered in outline and reduced to a few paragraphs. Chapter 7. Okay, wow, that was a long one too, holy shit. Okay. It's, there's 16 of you in here, huh? Fascinates me that there's people out there, that there's a bunch of nerdy weirdos out there like me just interested in this stuff at 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening. At least where I'm at. Thank you guys for chilling. Thank you for supporting the channel too. If you guys want to support in super chats, that'd be great. Or Jesus Christ, that door keeps opening and closing and it's scaring the shit out of me. We have a Patreon. If you would like to support the Patreon, I would love that. Patreon members get MP3s of all our audiobooks, so you can listen at your own discretion. Some other perks over on Patreon, or you just be homies and help out. That's cool too. But either way, thank you guys for being here and hanging out. Gypsy tears. That's funny. Did you guys enjoy the text? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy yourselves? Are you staying warm? Are you having tea? Thank you for hanging. And Gianni Lauren, hello. Moon baby all day. That's funny. Damn. Sorry, I would keep reading, but I feel after like almost 2.5 hours of reading, I feel like my tone starts to get. I feel like I get monotone after a while, and I just gotta like reset. But we had a good sesh tonight. We got a good like Hold on, we can crank the lo-fi back up. Let's crank the lo-fi back up. Pick the vibe up a little bit. What's up? Hey everybody. Oh, excuse me. Gianni, Gypsy Tears, Moon Baby Blue 44, Green Man, Straight Panther 79. Magical night, isn't it? What was your favorite part? What was it? Was it the Temple of the Virgins? Yeah, that sucks. It sucks that it worked out that way. So if you just came in and you missed it, Hiram wanted treasures from Egypt that he heard about, tried to find it. This seems to be somewhat of a heartbreaker. That seems like a reoccurring theme in the Colburn Bible. Men being heartbreakers and just getting women totally shafted, no pun intended, at the end of the story. Gets a widower to fall for him, and then just basically calls her a whore and then says, no, I don't want to marry you. Super dick move. Gets a high priestess supposed to be virgin daughter to fall for him. Fakes her death at this ceremony, and fakes her death in such a way that her father, who is the high priest, gets absolutely disgraced, because so there's this ceremony that they're having, and all the virgin maidens pass through the sea monster spot, and as long as they're pure, the sea monster doesn't eat them. Thanks, John Milks. Thank you so much for the tip. And as long as the women are pure, the sea monsters don't eat them. Well, they pretend that Asu, his lover, gets eaten. So the high priestess is like, oh my god, my daughter is a whore. She like was sleeping around and now she's been eaten by a sea monster. So he's super sad, super disgraced. Everyone's probably talking shit. They escape. He steals the treasures off the island that they're on and steals away the daughter. And then the daughter Asu ends up having to dance lewdly, it says, so she probably has to be some sort of stripper. Not that there's anything wrong with strippers, it's just like, wow, this woman was like living like a queen in this temple, and now she's just like a beggar living in the streets with a dirty face, they said, just dancing lewdly for money. And then she ends up being killed by sword and her house burned down while homeboy was away. and he just leaves and marries supposedly a princess of a foreign kingdom, and that's his life. So that was a summary of this last chapter that we just read. How situations in time repeat themselves. Yes, the cycles of time. Thank you again, John Milks, for the donation. And you're a channel member too. If you guys want to support by becoming a channel member, you can. That little join button right next to the Man of Letters symbol. That's what that means. If you hover over it, it says join. And you can join. Or you can join a Patreon. Or you can just shoot us a like or a comment. 101 minutes. This is a longer live. Over an hour and a half. Almost 2 hours. Look at us go. We're killing it. Killing it. What was you... So... I think I already asked what your favorite part is. But I recapped it. Anywho. Do you guys have any final words? Boom, tip a cat, boom, tip a cat, boom, tip a cat, boom, tip a cat, boom, tip a cat. Oops. Dibbity bibbity bibbity boom. Bum babada boom. Bum bum babada dum. Dum bada dum. All right, you crazy kids. I will be stepping out of the library. So, until further adieu, I bid thee good evening. I bid thee farewell. And I bid thee good morrow upon awakening. Thank you guys for being here, which is support in and of itself. So, that is not overlooked. I will get good rest, Moon Baby. I hope you do too. So, good night, everybody. Thank you. I'll see you soon. All right, bye.